You keep refusing help before it's even fully offered. Not because you're strong, because your brain learned something early that never updated. You're holding something heavier than it should be. The plastic bag is cutting slightly into your fingers while you adjust your grip again. Someone steps closer, half reaching like they might help. You already shake your head before they finish the gesture. A small pause. Then you say you're fine. Not loudly, not defensively, just automatically. Inside, there's no debate. Just a quiet instruction that runs faster than thought. I've got it. But underneath that line, something else is happening. Not confidence, not pride. A learned expectation that support usually comes late or not at all. And strangely, you don't even question it anymore. That's the part worth looking at, because this didn't start with you deciding anything. It started much earlier, in places that didn't feel like lessons at the time. We're going to go back to that first pattern in a moment. You can spot this habit in seconds. Offer them help, and they'll refuse before they even think about it. Imagine a familiar scene. Someone sees you struggling with a heavy load, and they offer to give you a hand. Your immediate reflex is to wave them away and say, "Oh, I'm fine, I've got it." And then you just keep struggling with it, carrying the entire weight all by yourself. The deepest habit of this generation isn't actually independence. It's a deep-rooted assumption that help probably isn't coming anyway. Their brains learned very early on that relying on yourself is predictable and safe. Relying on other people? Not so much. They already decided, long before anyone even offered. But what's the real cost of this? When you always look like you have it together, people actually believe you don't need any support. Inside your head, the same old loop keeps playing. I'll just handle it myself. What looks like confidence often started as a survival adaptation. To truly understand that reflex, we have to go back to where it all began, to an empty house. Imagine being 8 years old and already knowing the afternoon belongs to you. The front door opens. No one is home. There is only the hum of the microwave and the television playing in the background to keep you company. Homework happens completely alone. Many children of this generation learned self-reliance long before they were emotionally ready for it. Repeated, unsupervised time teaches a child's brain that responsibility arrives long before support does. Nobody checked. Loneliness becomes normal when it happens every day. Because of that, dependence starts feeling completely unfamiliar as you grow up. Whenever a challenge comes your way, the same thought line returns. I guess it's up to me. But the empty house wasn't the lesson that stayed. Some children learn self-expression first. Others learn consequence management first. Look at how it worked back then. You break a rule. Your parents come home and the outcome is immediate. There is no long discussion. There is no deep explanation. This generation learned very early that actions create consequences, whether you are ready for them or not. Your brain develops a powerful ability to predict outcomes simply because the feedback you received was always direct and consistent. 3 steps ahead. Because of that, preparedness became much safer than spontaneity. But the cost of this constant vigilance is heavy. Relaxing becomes incredibly difficult. You are always calculating every single outcome, and the same line keeps running through your mind. What happens if this goes wrong? Then, adulthood repeated the same lesson on a larger scale. They were told stability was the reward. Then stability kept disappearing. Look at what happened around them. Parents divorced, factories closed, reliable jobs vanished into thin air. People who followed every single rule still ended up losing. The promises adults made kept collapsing right in front of them. This repeated unpredictability teaches you a defensive way of looking at the world. The rules moved. Trust becomes difficult when reality keeps changing the contract. Because of that, optimism starts feeling almost irresponsible. Whenever something good happens, you don't celebrate. Instead, the same thought line plays in your head. Let's see how long this lasts. And that's when independence stopped being just a skill. It became an identity. Some people share feelings. Others redirect attention. Look at how you react when someone asks a deeply personal question. You instantly make a joke, and the conversation changes direction completely. For this generation, distance became protection. Using humor and maintaining strict privacy is how your brain reduces emotional exposure. Laugh first. The joke often arrives long before the real emotion does. Inside your head, the same line keeps playing. Let's not make this a thing. But what is the cost of this protective armor? People know your personality, but they don't know your struggles. The same pattern showed up at work, too. They don't trust promises. They trust what they can do. Look at how they handle trouble. A broken appliance, a flat tire, or a sudden crisis at work. Their natural reflex is to start troubleshooting and fixing it themselves, long before they ever think about calling anyone else for help. For this generation, competence creates control. And having control is how the brain reduces uncertainty. No applause needed. Being needed feels much safer than being vulnerable. But the hidden cost of this mindset is heavy. Your personal value becomes completely tied to your usefulness. Inside your head, a constant pressure keeps telling you, I should be able to fix this. But every strength carries a bill. Here's the part people rarely talk about. You spend the entire week solving everyone else's problems. You answer every single call. Then, when something actually breaks inside your own life, you tell nobody. The people who handle everything often become completely invisible when they are the ones struggling. Your brain treats asking for help as a total loss of control. Nobody notices. The strongest person in the room is often the least supported. The cost of this strength is heavy. Isolation, silent stress, total emotional exhaustion. Yet even at your lowest point, the same thought line keeps playing. I'll deal with it. Which brings us to the strange role this generation ended up playing. They arrived between two different eras, an analog childhood, a digital adulthood. Old rules on one side and brand new systems on the other. This constant need to adapt is exactly what forced their brains to become incredibly flexible. But the bridge builders are usually overlooked. Bridges don't speak. People always notice the destinations. They rarely notice the structure holding them both together. The cost of being this transition generation is being unseen, left with a silent thought line. Just keep things moving. Yet the most revealing thing about this generation may not be their independence at all. It may be the deeper reason why they stopped expecting a rescue. Independence was not the goal for this generation. It was the byproduct of repeatedly learning that support systems were inconsistent. What looks like emotional distance is often just a mind that stopped waiting. You are not the generation that avoided connection. You are the generation that learned to function without assuming it would hold. You don't stop needing people. You just stop expecting them to arrive on time. Notice what you do first when something breaks in your life. Do you reach out or start fixing it before anyone sees? There's no right answer in that pattern, but there is information in it. If this kind of psychology breakdown helps you see patterns differently, you'll probably find more of that here. Some habits don't feel like history. They feel like personality until you trace them back far enough.